right. Come on now. People get ready and thank the Lord. You know you gotta thank the Lord. Oh, thank the Lord. Come on now, thank the Lord.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Susan, Katie. Oh, thank you so much. Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. I've been told I need to remove that because it's distracting, so I will take it off. How's that? Now, if my glasses just happen to drop, you'll know what happened. So, morning, everyone. Happy Sunday to you. I'm excited. Tomorrow is a very, very special day in this country. It's a very special day, I think, for all of us, and it's my mother's birthday. And it's also the day that we as a country, declared our independence. We declared our independence, and I think there's a really valuable lesson and statement in the very act of declaring independence. We're going to talk a little bit about that today, and talk a little bit about the understanding of what that means to declare independence. It means it, on some levels, certainly from this country's point of view, that we declared that we were no longer going to be subjected to the rule of England, to the rule of a king. And there are opportunities and challenges in that, and there were opportunities and challenges at that time, and they're really a major part of our foundation in this country. But I want you to know that I love this country. I love America, and I'm so thankful that I live in a country where a man is free to say whatever he thinks, as long as his wife says it's okay. Right?
Did you say that was okay?
Or his boss, or his neighbors, of course. You got to make sure that neighbors are okay with it, and of course you got to make sure that it doesn't hurt his business or his reputation, right? Well, I love this country, and I came across some things that I think you'll find really only in this country. Only in America can you find pizza. Can you get pizza at your house faster than you can an ambulance? Only in America are there handicapped parking places in front of a skating rink. Think about it. It's by law. Only in America do people order double cheeseburgers and large fries and a Diet Coke. Yes. And only in America do banks leave both doors open and then chain the pins to the counters. Only in America do we leave cars worth thousands of dollars in the driveway and leave useless things and junk in boxes in the garage. And only in America do we buy hot dogs in packages of 10 and buns in packages of 8. Yes. What's up with this? Wait a minute. Only in America do we use the word politics to describe the process. So, well, politics, poly in Latin means many, and we all know what ticks are. And only in America do they lock up the jury and let the prisoner go home. Only in America do we play baseball under a roof and go to the movies outdoors. Only in America do people flock to the cities so they can make enough money to send their children to camps in the country. Here's another one. Only in America do we make instant coffee and then dawdle for hours drinking it.
Because it's no good.
Well, point well taken. Point well taken. Well, I want to talk about something, though, that's really, I'm shifting gears a little bit, and I want to talk about something that's pretty serious to me. And I want you all to know something about me that you may or may not know, and that is that, and it may surprise some of you, but I want you to know that I've been in prison. I've been in prison. No, that's it. I've been in prison. And I'm still in prison in many ways. And I'm going to suggest to you that many of us, and probably most of us in some level, are in prison. Now, I'm not talking about the one where I committed a crime and got arrested and went through the courts and went into jail. Except, in some ways, there's truth in that also. But the prison that I'm in is the same prison I think that all of us are in to some extent. You see, each and every one of us are in a prison of our own making, and we're in a prison of our own mind. And as I say this, I think you can recognize the truth of that. The part of us knows that there's some part of us that doesn't feel free. Emily Cady, when I was thinking about our lesson for this week, and I'm thinking about our Declaration of Independence, it occurs to me that the theme of this is freedom. And so when I thought about freedom, what came to me was Emily Cady's title in her book, Lessons in Truth, the title of one of the major chapters. In fact, in the more current edition, it's actually the first chapter, but when she first wrote it, it actually was the last chapter. It was the 12th chapter. And the title of the chapter is Bondage or Liberty? Which? It's a great title just in and of itself, because it recognizes that there is an opportunity to make a decision. There is a choice. And so one of the things for us to really consider is to pay attention to and notice what is it that's going on in us that's keeping us in prison. Many of the things that are keeping us in prison today we know about. Some of them we're pretty aware of. But I'm going to suggest to you that there are a lot of things that are keeping us behind bars, and the bars are really the bars of our own belief systems, our own thoughts. And part of our work is to not just try to escape the prison, but to find out how we can move past the limitations that are set up, not only in our own thinking and consciousness, but have been set up not only in our limited view ourselves, but in what Charles Fillmore called the race consciousness. We're here not only to transform our own consciousness, we're here to transform the consciousness of every human being. Every human being. You know, I'm not going to limit it. Not every human being on earth, every human being in the universe. Perhaps every being in the universe. The very act that we do to overcome many of these difficulties and challenges that we find ourselves faced with, the challenges that come to us in life, the things that seem to keep us stuck, oftentimes they are just jumping from one cell into another cell. We have lots of ways that we try to escape from limitations, from those things that seem to be holding us back. Those seem to be blocking us. We have lots of ways of trying to escape what's going on in our life experiences. And yet at the same time, what we're really doing is kind of recreating the same kind of experiences over and over again in a different way with different people. Have you ever noticed, have you ever noticed that when you go to work and do a new place, it doesn't take long before they begin to look a lot like your family? Yeah. Have you ever noticed that? Well, you know, the reality is you do take your family with you. Have you ever noticed have you ever been in a relationship with someone and you just, something goes on in the relationship and you're no longer in that relationship, so you go out and you find another relationship, and before long you're experiencing a lot of the same kinds of experiences in that relationship as you had in the past relationship? Very common. And if you think about it, who's the common denominator? Yeah, we know it. So it's funny because we know it now, but we don't always know it when we're in the middle of it, and that's part of the prison. The amazing thing about the prison that most of us are in is we don't even recognize that we're in it. And that's one of the very things that keeps us in that place. Alan Cohen, the author of The Dragon Doesn't Live Here Anymore, has a wonderful story that he tells about having a fish bowl and having fish in his bowl about like this, and the fish would swim around and around in the bowl. And one day he needed to clean out the fish bowl, so he takes the fish bowl and he puts it in the bathtub, fills the bathtub with water, and he puts all the fish into the bathtub. As he comes back, he cleans out the bowl, and he comes back and he discovers that the fish are swimming around in a circle the same size as the bowl that they were in. You and I oftentimes have been conditioned by things in our circumstances, in our lives, through race consciousness and our own experiences, to believe that we are limited in some ways, to believe that we can or cannot do certain things, and that we are stuck, you might say, with those limitations. And I think that's one of the things that I have to say that I love about unity and the teachings of unity and the teachings of the Fillmores is an understanding that we are not limited to our physical form. We're not limited to the circumstances that we see out here in the world. We're not limited by what others think about us. We're only limited by what we hold in our energy and our consciousness and our awareness. Saw this wonderful cartoon, a man climbing up the mountaintop, and there's a guru sitting on top of the mountaintop, and as he gets up to the guru, he says, "I'm looking for the key to the universe." And the guru says, "It's not locked." It's not locked. It's only locked because we believe there's a lock there, and we have to have a key. And we're looking all over the place for that key, when in reality, the key is, it's not locked. You and I are open to these ideas and these truths, or we wouldn't have been drawn here in the first place. We're open to this possibility in ourselves, or we would not have shown up. We wouldn't have been attracted to the idea of unity and what unity is about and what unity is trying to teach. Martha Spock, in her wonderful book, Halfway Up the Mountain, says, as you let Spirit take over in you, as you give your life, as you give your life, your needs, your desires over to the divine, the way of freedom will not only be revealed to you, but the will and the desire to follow it will be quickened in you. And she goes on to say, never allow yourself to believe that you are a victim of fate or hard luck. Never allow yourself to feel cornered by any circumstance or condition. You are a child of God. You are free in spirit. And freedom is yours, but you must realize it and claim it. There's nothing that can limit or bind you, for in truth, in spirit, you are free, unfettered, and unbound. I love that. Free and unfettered and unbound. Okay, let's just take a deep breath. And I want you to just say, I am free, unfettered, and unbound.
I am free, unfettered, and unbound.
Okay, everybody stand up. We're going to do a power pose. You guys know power poses? Julie brought this back from one of her conferences for us. You can do this one too if you like this better. If you can't raise your arm, do this one. I am free and unfettered and unbound. Take a nice deep breath. Now, as you say that, feel the good of that, but then also just notice. You can let your arms down if you will. Notice what comes up that says, yeah, but. Anybody got any of those? Not in this moment? That's fine. That's good. So what I'm going to suggest to you, you can have a seat again. I'm going to suggest to you that that's part of our freedom also. Part of our freedom is to recognize that there's oftentimes a little voice inside of us that is always questioning, that is always wanting to know, and it's okay. It's okay to have that little voice inside, provided you're not putting that little voice in charge. Right? And unfortunately, what we do is we put the little voice in charge. We say, oh yeah, well you must know better, obviously. The one that says, can't, not good enough, if only, what if? You know that little voice? She's talking all the time, he's talking all the time, it's talking all the time. Always has something important to add, of course. But the reality is that it's just there to help us in some way, and so it really is not there. It's not really against us, but it really is not intended to be in charge. And yet we sometimes put it in charge, don't we? We say, "Oh yeah, well that's the most important thing is the what ifs, if onlys, the too manys." When you get up in the morning and you look in the mirror and you say, "Well, I'm too this, too that, or too that," or you say, "I'm not enough this or not enough that," that little voice that has all these interesting things to say that really are meaningless and really don't have anything to do with who you truly are. Isn't that true? And so part of our work, part of our freedom is to move out of the prison of putting this little voice in charge. This little voice is not there to move us into our possibilities. Emily Cady, in the opening of this chapter on bondage or liberty which, she says, "Finally, brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are good, of good report, if there is any virtue, if there is any praise, think on these things." Think on these things. Every soul is by nature, believes itself to be in bondage to the flesh. And we'll talk about this idea of the flesh and the things of the flesh. And suffering is the result of this bondage. So I'm going to suggest to you that what really Emily Cady is telling us here is ultimately every challenge, every difficulty, every problem that we have stems from a particular belief system. And it's a belief that you are in bondage, that you are in prison, that you're stuck, and you're stuck with the little voice being in charge. And what she's saying is the remedy to this is to pay attention and to be willing to consciously choose different thoughts, to look differently, to see differently. And it's a practice. It's an ongoing practice. It's an ongoing opportunity to allow something different to be happening in us. And as a very result of having something different happening in us, we will find that we are beginning to create and attract different experiences out here that are not being guided and directed by the flesh. I always like that term, boy, And the language of Lessons in Truth is wonderful. It is a very flowery language of the 1800s and early 1900s. But this idea of the flesh really has to do with the outer experience of our world. Flesh is not just, it was taken from the idea that the body is actually a representation of outer manifestation. Well, and the body is a representation of outer manifestation. And this idea of the flesh really has to do with believing in some way that we are this body. That we are stuck in this body and that this is who and what we are, and that's all that we are. And so one of our traps, one of the things that gets us into challenges and difficulties is to believe that we are simply this physical body. Well, it's important for us to understand that we have a physical body. It is an aspect of how we express and show up in the world. It's a vehicle for allowing our nature to move around and to function here in the world, but we're not limited to this physical body. And it's also an idea, a belief system that says that circumstances are conditions. The flesh really has to do with believing circumstances and conditions are what are causing us to either be free or not free. How many of you have circumstances and conditions that are going on in your life right now that you just assume weren't there? Anybody have any of those? Yeah. 2 hands? So part of what goes on for us is that we believe that those circumstances and conditions are, how's the best to put this? I'm going to say it this way, and it's a pretty strong way of saying it, but it really kind of gets to the essence of what we're talking about. I'm going to suggest to you, if you have circumstances and conditions that you just as soon not have in your life, and you found yourself fighting and wrestling and pushing and struggling with these circumstances and conditions, and you find yourself experiencing feelings of not being happy, or finding yourself having experiences of being frustrated or angry or resentful, you are in a very real sense, you are making these circumstances and conditions your God. Think about that for just a moment. You're making these circumstances and conditions your God. Another way of putting that is you're also making these circumstances and conditions your identity as well. You're basically saying, this is who I am. And it's a lie. It's a lie that the ego mind tells us. It's a lie that tries to keep us stuck in a particular way of thinking, a pattern. And it keeps us blocked from really truly experiencing the possibilities of something greater. And it's not, interestingly enough, it's not intended as, in a malevolent way. It's not intended to hurt us in any way. It really is, there's a belief system that says that we'll be safe if we just go ahead and go along with this kind of understanding and belief system. It's an erroneous pattern that we have in race consciousness that says that that circumstances and conditions are what really determine our possibilities for love, for well-being, for abundance, for health, for life. So let's think about some of those circumstances and conditions. You know, it could be something to do with our health. Perhaps we're facing a health challenge at this point in our life. If we believe in some way that health challenge is going to prevent us from experiencing the fullness of our possibilities of well-being, we are believing in a golden calf. You know the term, the golden calf? We've created a golden calf for ourselves. We've created an illness as something that has more power than the healing energy that life and love and that is of divine, of God. Does that make sense? And so part of our work is to shift our energy and belief system to recognize that, yes, this is an outer manifestation of a particular energy and belief system that is a part of race consciousness perhaps, but it has no truth in it. It has no power over me. It has no power over the life of God in me. It has no power over the healing energy that can come in and through me when I attune myself and align my awareness with the presence of the divine. Perhaps you have an experience in your life dealing with finances or resources in some way, and it appears that there's not enough. Anybody know that one? Ever heard that one before? Not enough? Anybody know that story about not enough? That little voice likes to say that a lot, doesn't it? Not enough, not enough. Not only is it's not enough, but it really boils down to this kind of underlying feeling of, I'm not enough. And I'm going to suggest to you they're both lies. Absolute lies. They're deceptions that our little voice gives us to try and keep us engaged in trying to get more so that we can feel enough. Right? But the moment that we begin to move into that practice of trying to get more in order to feel enough, we're automatically saying there's not enough. And there's a law of attraction at work, right? And if we have this energy, this feeling of not enough, and we're continually trying to make sure that there is enough, then we're actually affirming there's not enough. And we get into this little push me, pull me experience. Now, don't get me wrong, I've played this game a lot in my life. As I said before, I'm in prison. I've been in prison. And I am also, my own jailer. And I'm also learning to understand that, there's no key because it's not locked. The more we begin to understand that we are playing programs in our thinking and our feeling, and we are participating in those things that are out here, we are helping to create those circumstances and situations in our lives, the more we can wake up to the possibility that we can make a different decision. What if there really is enough? What if there really is enough? And what if, this may seem a little far-fetched, but what if you really are enough? Not so far-fetched. You're created in the image and after the likeness of the divine. You are an amazing spiritual being, living in a spiritual universe, having spiritual experiences in human form. And some of those experiences show up as challenges, and the challenges are there for the purpose of helping us to understand our potential and possibility. So think about it this way. One of the things, think about if there is a person in your life that appears to have some influence or power over your well-being. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Is there someone in your life that seems to have some power over your well-being? I'm going to suggest to you they only have the power that you've given them. If there's someone in my life that seems to have power over my well-being, it's because I have made them in charge of my well-being. That's not an easy one to accept sometimes because we've been taught a lot of things other than that. I think I like to take it not only on a small scale, but I think I want to take it on a grander scale also, a larger scale. Is there some person or political party or leader in some way that has something that seems to have some kind of power or control over your well-being? I've certainly felt that way a number of times, and I've certainly had opportunities where I felt like I needed to resist. But what I realize for myself, and I think it's true for all of us, is that when I'm doing that, when I'm really putting, I'm basically giving that person a power that they don't truly have. They only have the power that I give them. I individually, of myself, say this person has power over me. So if there's a person out there that I seem to have fear of or resistance to, it's because I have accepted the fear rather than the faith that there's something more powerful, more significant, more influential. And so one of the things that Emily Cady and many others, early teachers in Unity, have taught is this. When you see or feel that something or someone out here has power over you, it's time to take that back. And one of the ways you do that is simply say, you have no power over me. So I want you to take a second and think about someone that you have felt that has had some influence or power over you that didn't seem like it was in your best interest or didn't feel like it was really helping in some way. And hold in your awareness that person. And I want you to just simply say, you have no power over me. And actually, let's say that out loud. You have no power over me. You have no power over me. Take a deep breath when you do that now. Say it again. You have no power over me. You have no power over me. And I love to follow it up with, my strength is in God. Let's say it again. You have no power over me. My strength is in God. You have no power over me. My strength is in God. Just breathe that in and out. How does that feel now? And if you have a little voice that comes up and says, yeah, but you have no power over me. My strength is in God. Say to that little voice, you have no power over me. My life is in God. My strength is in God. My love is in God. My health is in God. My abundance is in God. My source is in God. My truth is in God. Scripture tells us, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And I came across this wonderful little quote that says, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free, but it'll probably beat you up a little bit first. Sometimes it feels that way, because we have a challenge sometimes letting go of what we believe in order to accept what is true. Is that true? If it isn't, sit with it a while. It'll marinate, right? It'll help marinate you. We're all being marinated in these ideas, these understandings, these truths. It will set you free, and there's always an understanding that regardless of whatever's going on out here in our circumstances and experiences, it's our ability to either accept it as our source of abundance, of health, of life, of peace, of love, of any good, or we can recognize that it's simply a reflection of thoughts and ideas and belief systems that we have held in our consciousness and that have been brought out into our experiences for the purpose of helping us to understand that that's not it. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And when you find yourself confronted with challenges and difficulties and limitations that seem to have power over your well-being, one of the best affirmations is, that's not it. That's not it. That's not who I am. That's not what I'm limited by. That's not what I'm stuck with. That's not what I'm held to. There's something greater. There's a greater possibility. In the beginning of this country, our forefathers, our founders, basically said, you have no power over me. They declared their independence. They basically said, you have no power over me. Now, don't get me wrong. Oftentimes, when you make a declaration of independence like that, like we've just done, you have no power over me, what you have a tendency to experience sometimes is, Louise Hay just simply calls it resistance. When our forefathers declared their independence from England, they experienced resistance. England said, no, I think we will have power over you. And so there was a struggle, and there was a challenge, and we did fight to overcome that challenge. But this is not only an outer challenge, but it really is an inner challenge as well. In many ways, it's more an inner challenge than it is an outer challenge. It took quite a bit for our founding fathers to be able to stand within the courage and the strength and the faith of the possibilities to stand up and say, we're free of you. And it takes that same kind of courage and strength for us to be willing to say to outer some circumstances, to our health challenges, to any financial challenges, to relationship challenges, to those in our lives that seem to have power over us, to really truly say, I'm free of you. I choose to be free of you. And I personally like to do that with not so much a struggle, but a blessing. Because I found that the more I put out blessings to those that I have difficulty with or challenges with, whether it be persons or situations or circumstances or that little voice inside, if I will send it the energies of blessings, I'm putting out what I want to receive back, right? And so rather than trying to fight our way out of the prison, I'm going to suggest one of the most valuable things we can do is to bless our way out of the prison. Many of you are familiar with Lech Walesa? I thought there'd be a few of you. Lech Walesa was the leader of basically the Polish movement that basically freed Poland. He said, "I'm always free, even when I am in prison. My thoughts, my dreams, my aspirations cannot be physically destroyed. The truth is always the truth. Christ lost physically as a man, but we now see that he won. Without faith in God, I wouldn't have held up. I can't imagine living without faith. And I think the majority of the Poles feel the same way. I'm always free, even when I am in prison. I'm always free, even when I am in prison." So what I encourage you to do is to celebrate this 4th of July, not only this wonderful, amazing country that allows us to, a man to say whatever he wants if his wife says so, but to recognize that we are always given the possibility and the opportunity to declare our independence, to declare our freedom. The word independence, I think, is a valuable word in many ways, but it's important for us to recognize as a part of freedom, we also have our interdependence. That we are interdependent beings and that we're here not only to be free ourselves individually, but to help free all of humankind and all beings everywhere. There's one quote I want to close with. If I can find it again in my notes. There we go. Nelson Mandela said, "For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of all." So when you're out celebrating this week, set off some fireworks, whatever you're doing to celebrate this country's independence, I encourage you to really take the time to declare your own independence of those things that seem to be holding you back, because the reality is there's no truth in them. And the truth may rough you up a little bit sometimes, but it will set you free. God bless you and have a great week. Fantastic. Let's move into our meditation time. So let's just move into a comfortable place where we can allow that flowing, breathing in and out. Just allow the body temple to relax, to be still, to be peaceful. Move into a place of comfort. If you have something in your lap, gently set it aside. And if you have something in your mind, simply set that aside. And just allow yourself to relax into an awareness of the divine, the presence of God, right here and now, in your very being. God is not only all and transcendent and above and beyond all, but God is also immanent and in the very heart and nature of who and what you are. There's only one presence and one power in this universe, and that presence and that power is the divine. And so just take a moment now to consider and think about all of the things in your life that you have said have power over you. Whether it be a person, a circumstance, a substance, a thought, military force. There's only one presence and one power in this universe. There's only one freedom, and that is accepting the freedom that is spirit, that is the love, that is the divine. Whether principalities or kingdoms or just simply the tyranny of our own little voice, we take this opportunity to bless it and know that there's only one power in me, in my body, the life and health of the divine. If there are thoughts that are concerning, anxious, fearful, just gently say to those thoughts, thank you for sharing. And return to this knowing. There's only one presence and one power in my thoughts. The thoughts of the divine, the spirit of the one. And I release all of my fears to that presence. All of my anxiety and worries, concerns, cares, knowing there's only one presence. The presence of love, of life, of abundance. Take now a nice deep breath, releasing all into that assurance, that safety, that knowing. There's only one presence. Take another nice deep breath. Let your awareness come back into this room, this time and place. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes and give thanks. And so it is. And so it is.